It's 1980. A man in a stained white work shirt has just entered a small casino in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Technology is beginning to evolve rapidly, but slot machines have remained simple. Although basic on the inside, they've risen to be the gambling industry's most profitable game. Everyone knows these machines aren't made for you to win, but casinos have discovered Americans can't resist testing their luck. However, the man in the white work shirt doesn't need luck with the machines, at least not today. He has something better. Earlier that day, Tommy's good friend Ray Ming walked into Tommy's TV repair shop. He had an odd device in his hand and a Bali slot machine in his trunk. He tells Tommy he thinks he found a money glitch and needs his help. Tommy is skeptical, but is in desperate need of some hope himself. Tommy is the best tinkerer Ray knows. Growing up, he saw Tommy tear through machines like other kids tear through candy. He also saw Tommy tear through his life much the same. At 30, he's already racked up 3 divorces, 2 drug felonies, and 1 failing repair shop. Tommy was ready to risk it all for a better life, but he didn't know how. Maybe this was his chance. Ray hands Tommy the crude-looking device and tells him it's a top-bottom joint. The bottom is a piece of guitar string. The top is a piece of metal, curved like the number 9. When used properly, this device completes a circuit that hotwires the hopper and results in a jackpot. Tommy gets right to tinkering. Energized by his first sliver of hope in years, after a few hours mastering the mechanism on the machine, he decides he wants to give it a real go. He drives over to his local Tulsa casino and walks in nervously. His heart is pounding and he goes to the first machine he sees. He checks his surroundings. A slip up here and he could end up behind bars for years. He slides the device in like he practiced, and then, all of a sudden, jackpot. Coins flood out. He runs out of the casino with $35 in nickels and his American dream resurrected from the ashes of his life. This is the true story of Tommy Carmichael. For 2 decades, his life's work was stealing from casinos, and his ingenious inventions ushered in an era where regular cheats could become millionaires. He is the Robinhood of Las Vegas, and this is how he went from insignificant to infamous. 3 weeks after his first heist, Tommy decides to close his repair shop and head to Vegas. He's got big dreams and for the first time, a route to achieve them. He gets to Vegas and nets himself another $35 in nickels on his first run. Small change, but he's got confirmation he's onto something big as long as he doesn't get caught. Tommy developed a pretty simple strategy, and it mostly worked. He wasn't getting rich, but he was living a good life overall. Over a 5-year period, he only had 1 close call. After a few months in Vegas, he was ready to make his first run on a larger casino on the Strip. He tried to use the top-bottom joint on a newer machine, and instead of coins flooding out, alarm bells rang. However, that day, Tommy was lucky. He got out before they even saw him. From that, then on, he would stick to smaller venues with older machines. Since the top-bottom joint only worked on certain slots, Tommy had mapped out exactly where he could go and when was best. He'd sprinkle in actual play with his cheating to help cover his tracks. He was clearing a few $100 every day until July 4th, Independence Day, 1985. Tommy was on his normal route at a Denny's off the main strip. He starts out with his usual play. He hits one machine, then another. Everything is going according to plan, and money is coming in. Then he goes to stick his top-bottom joint into a machine that was recently added. He looked it over, but it was the right make and model. As his cheating device enters the machine, it gets caught, and an alarm bell goes off. Police instantly flood the scene and arrest him. Someone had set a trap, and Tommy learned his first lesson. A regular route will lead you to shackles, not profits. As he was getting arrested, he couldn't help but smile of the ironic date and promise to be back. He was convicted and sent to jail with a 5-year sentence, but Tommy had more luck on his side than Vegas, for the moment. In prison, some people get reformed, and others get refined. Tommy chose the latter, spending his time refining his strategy and dreaming even bigger. He wanted it all, not a few $100s a day. He made friends with other cheats and learned about the history of slots and gambling. He was smart and knew the history of his industry would lead him to something, but what would it be? He studied how slots had been invented in San Francisco in 1870, but only took off in 1963 when the Money Honey machine added a 2,500 coin hopper. Thus, continuous play was birthed and the addiction began to spread. He learned how cheats from every era came up with devices and mechanisms to hack the machines. From nickels on strings to the top-bottom joint, every era had its device, but no one had invented anything for the current era. In jail, ruminating in his cell, Tommy Carmichael decided he would invent the ultimate slot hacking device. He pictured it in his head, but kept drawing blanks, knowing he would need to see inside the new machines. He began to form his plan. He also decided a team operation would allow for bigger scores and would be insurance against the dreaded Black Book. More on that later. He swore to himself and his friends that he wouldn't enter another casino until he had his invention. After 2 years, Tommy was out on good behavior with a solid plan in his head, but there was one problem. Buying a machine would cost thousands of dollars, and he couldn't even afford a cab as he was leaving jail. He was the man for the job in his head without a job or a bed, but that was easy enough to solve. He went right back to Vegas and started working odd jobs, saving every dollar he could. He could almost see his invention and the life it gave him, but without a machine, he couldn't build it. After 6 months, he had saved enough to buy his new age machine. He was so close and so excited, he quit his jobs the same day the machine came, but reality hit. Night and day, he toiled away in his apartment, trying to crack the code of the Video 1 poker machine, but nothing worked. For almost a year, every attempt ended in failure and frustration. He was down to his last dollars, on the verge of giving up altogether. He had no other options. He had to make this work. From the outside, he was a jobless loser, divorcee, and convicted felon. But his dreams and his small taste of the good life kept him going. Then, miraculously, in his actual dreams, as if a prayer was answered, he saw the solution. He saw a flexible piece of metal wedged at the top with some piano wire. He shot out of bed and got to building. This was the birth of the monkey paw. The device's flexible tip would slide up into the payout chute and trigger a micro switch. The micro switch made the machine think it was time to pay out, even though no win had occurred. Coins would spill out, at least that's what he hoped. If it worked, Tommy could clean out a whole room in a day. Tommy knew this was a game changer, and the fire inside him burned brighter than ever when his home test finally worked. He did some quick math and realized he could clear over 1,000 an hour. Tommy had just revitalized the whole world of cheating, and only he knew it. Excitement bubbling, he rushed out that same night with a simple plan. Go to a real casino and use the device undetected. As he enters the first casino he sees, he's apprehensive. It's been years since he last entered a casino. His heart is racing, and he meets the moment of truth at a machine tucked to the side. He sees a casino guard nearby and waits. The security guard gets a call away, and he inserts the monkey paw as quickly as possible. Coins aren't coming out. He's only got a moment. Guard's around the corner. He wiggles the monkey paw, praying it works. His whole life depends on this device. 1 second. 2 seconds. Doubt and fear flood into his head, and then suddenly, coins flood out onto his lap. Relief. It passes over him as he gathers up his single biggest heist yet. Success was sweet for Tommy Carmichael, but Tommy knew you couldn't be complacent. Over the next 2 years, Tommy went rampant. He made thousands a day and lived out his American dream. He bought his dream car, the Jaguar XJ6, and he was getting ready to buy his dream house, but something stopped him from going through with it. He noticed his winnings starting to diminish, but why? More and more casinos had implemented an easy fix that was making the monkey paw obsolete. The cat was closing in on the mouse, but Tommy wasn't done yet. He was too close. With no time to waste, he knew how to find his answer. He needed access to the newest machines, but how would he do it? He couldn't buy one like he had last time. The top manufacturers were also cracking down, only selling to known casinos now, but Tommy was no trapped mouse. In 1992, Tommy visited the showroom of International Game Technology, posing as a customer. He needed to understand the newest security measures on the latest machines, but as he walked around, no one was looking inside any of the machines on the sales floor. He gave himself only an hour because if he lingered too long, he would draw suspicion. 30 minutes go by, conversation here and there, but nothing concrete. He feels the pressure of time running against him. He has to make a move or leave. He heads to the bathroom to think about his best course of action. As he's walking out, feeling discouraged, he bumps into a nerdy-looking employee they didn't see on the sales floor. They start talking, and the employee lets slip that he's an engineer, not a salesman. Jackpot, Tommy thought. He makes up a story about how he's also an engineer, sent to buy on behalf of a major overseas casino. The engineer buying the lie hits it off with Tommy. He was impressed by Tommy's intricate knowledge of the machines overall, so when Tommy asked to see inside a specific model, the engineer was happy to show his new buddy the inner workings. As the engineer is showing Tommy the various security features, Tommy is suddenly struck with the exact blueprints of his next invention. After some pleasantries, he thanks the engineer and rushes out thinking of all the money he's about to make. Back at his apartment, he whipped up his next ingenious tool. He names it the light wand. It consisted of a camera battery and a miniature light bulb. When you shined its light into the machine's optical sensor, it blinded that sensor, so the machine couldn't keep track of how many coins it was dispensing. This meant Tommy could trick the machine into giving out as much money as he wanted, since hoppers had grown very big. Say you put $100 into the machine and asked it to cash out. With the light wand, you could get $500 or even $5,000 back, depending on how much you dared to take. With his new invention, Tommy knew it was time to execute phase 2 of his master plan. He had to step up his operation. He could build a light wand for only $250, but cheats could easily earn thousands per day. So when he started selling them for $10,000 per unit to other cheats, they were more than happy to pay. Tommy's infamy grew with his lifestyle, but so did unwanted attention. He bought his dream house in Rancho Bel Air and finally started living out his fantasies to the fullest. The device was so widespread and so effective that the 90s became known as the Light Wand era. The gambling industry was losing tens of millions per year to Light Wand users and began demanding the authorities crack down, but Tommy remained one step ahead. For other cheats, Tommy became their Robinhood, their savior, and whenever someone was caught with a light wand and questioned, they would say they built it themselves. The authorities knew it was BS, but even cheats had their own code to a degree. And Tommy had created the tool to deliver their poetic justice. Instead of robbing other gamblers, they respected him for helping them steal from the casinos directly, so they protected him, and some even idolized him. The way they saw it, if you got caught, it wasn't Tommy's fault, it was yours. Tommy had another trick to keep him safe too. He let his customers know he was planning something big and would bring them in if they proved loyal. After 3 years of building his empire, he was ready to move into phase 3 of his plan. He needed to test loyalty and skills of his customers from afar, and he wanted a break. In 1995, Tommy left from Vegas to cruise for 6 months, targeting slots on tropical island casinos, but that wasn't his actual goal. His real purpose was planning out his grand finale, but clearing hundreds of thousands of dollars along the way was a nice cherry on top for his vacation. When he got back, he had finished planning his greatest heist ever. He knew the risk would be high, but he wanted millions, not hundreds of thousands. His first step was to bring on a team of shades and cheats, experts in casino deception and theft. Lucky for Tommy, his inventions had bought him an endless talent pool, and the gossip needed to discover who was skilled and loyal amongst his friends and customers. His plan was simple in theory, but required perfect execution. The shades would know and block all camera angles and serve as the eyes, while the cheats would work their light wands to grab the prize. He'd learned the model in the hard knock school of jail. Tommy needed to hit hard and fast because he knew luck couldn't last forever. His plan was to blitzkrieg Vegas and then Atlantic City. 1 week each, as much damage as they could do. He implemented a pirate ship model. Treasure split almost evenly, with Tommy getting a little extra for being the organizer. He was ready to unleash the biggest score gambling had ever known. He figured this would optimize for loyalty even more. After months of planning and training, it began. Over a 2-week period, Tommy's team plundered Vegas and Atlantic City like a tidal wave. They cleared $2.5 million per day, close to $5 million a day now. It was so devastatingly efficient, the casinos didn't even know what happened. They demanded blood, but only found themselves out $30 million. The adrenaline from Tommy's success made him feel untouchable, but pride is the devil. He had gotten away with the greatest heist ever, and no one even knew it. One night in 1996, Tommy was feeling extra bold with a bit of whiskey-induced courage. He said he wanted some extra cash, but more probably wanted some adrenaline. He didn't follow his normal protocol. He asked his girlfriend to be his shade, and she was untrained. It's just a quick hit, what could go wrong? He thought to himself. They went to Circus on the Vegas Strip, but his girlfriend didn't block the camera angles properly. As coins started spilling out of the machine, he looks up and sees a camera glaring at him. He realizes he's in trouble and makes a run for the door, but security apprehended him before he could escape. While trying to run away, he dropped his light wand, a lucky mistake because the charges got dropped too. But the light wand and his name got sent to the FBI. When the FBI analyzed Tommy's light wand, they realized it was a newer and better model than the others they had gotten. This put Tommy right in their crosshairs. They suspected he might be involved with its distribution, so they began wiretapping him. The walls were closing in, but Tommy didn't know it yet. He sailed on with smaller hits for another year or so. Then, in 1999, he was caught again and arrested in Laughlin, Nevada. He only got a short sentence, but now he was a known cheat, a marked man. Tommy wondered if he was slipping or if the walls were finally closing in. He could tell his time was running out, but all this just made him want one more big hit. The rush was simply too good. He was dreaming up his most ambitious device ever. He called it the tongue, and it would allow him to steal up to 2,000 per second. He had already snatched over $5 million in his career, but as they say, you can't keep a master from his work. He told himself he would retire for good once the tongue was on the market. In 1999, Tommy moved to Atlantic City thinking there would be less heat on him there. He had the tongue's prototype ready to go and was itching to give it a try. He briefed his team on the plan and went to a smaller casino. The shades took their positions and Tommy got to work. He's racking up credits when a regular looking man sits at the machine next to him. He doesn't think much of it until the man turns to him and says, "You and I have a lot to talk about, Tommy Carmichael." Tommy jumps up, realizing what's about to happen. Before he can even move, officers flood the scene. He's surrounded, but doesn't think the jig is up yet. He's beat the heat before. That was until the man next to him flashes an FBI badge. Tommy realizes at that moment his dreams are dead. Leading up to his trial, Tommy learns the FBI has had him wiretapped for years. They had mountains of recorded calls detailing every aspect of his operation. During his trial, he learns the final straw was the worry that the tongue would come to market. Its invention could herald bankruptcy for major casinos everywhere. It was revealed his tools, chiefly the light wand, were responsible for hundreds of millions in theft. If the tongue got out, the gambling industry could have crumbled, all because of Tommy Carmichael. But Tommy wasn't quite done yet. The trial was rough, and Tommy had over $5 million in cash and all his other assets seized. He was left with nothing except for an admission of guilt and 11 months in prison. Actually, he was also left with something worse, a death knell for any future gambling career, legal or otherwise. In late 2001, 11 months later, Tommy is out and would probably return to his former ways if it wasn't for a little black book. The black book was created in 1960 and has been used as one of the most corrupt tools of power in gambling. If your name gets put in the book, it's a crime for you to even enter a casino. Your name is registered in every casino in the country and known to all those across the globe. Its intention was to keep organized crime out of the gaming industry, but that's never been its real use. Getting your name in the book has always been a convoluted and shady process, but once it's there, there's no getting off. Given Vegas's history of mafia running and owning the casinos, the black book became a tool to manipulate the balance of power. When Tommy got word his name was going in the book, his inventing and heisting days were over, or so he thought. Resigned to defeat, he moved back to Tulsa, broken, dreamless, penniless. His American dream was over until he dreamt up one more final trick. Claiming he'd had a change of heart and wanted to quote-unquote right a wrong, Tommy invented the Protector, an anti-cheating device for all game machines. The court estimated he was responsible for 90% of cheating devices in circulation, but the Protector was the one solution he had feared the manufacturers would discover. When any sort of light shone inside the machine, the Protector would prompt the unit to shut down, killing off all cheating for good. In 2002, Tommy sold his patent for the Protector, which ended up in possession of iGames Entertainment, the very same manufacturers that had made most of the devices he had stolen from. A legal heist for Vegas's Robinhood, but was there something more? Once the Gaming Control Board found out the Protector's true inventor was Tommy Carmichael, they launched an investigation. They concluded there was no doubt Tommy Carmichael could have reprogrammed the device. So was the Protector just Tommy's most elaborate scheme of all? A final Trojan horse for every slot and device on the market? I'll let you decide, but his patent application did leave these words. Further objects, features, and advantages of the present invention will be apparent to those skilled in the art.